Welcome to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. I am Halli Casser-Jayne. This week, it's Trump's Jailhouse Rock when yet another Trump crony, Roger Stone, was sentenced to an extended stay at Club Fed. That just after Trump pardoned and issued clemency for more of his white-collar cronies because, as Trump told us this week, he's not only the President of the United States, he's the Chief Law Enforcement Officer, too. Will Stone get a pardon? And did you watch the Nevada debate? Billionaire Mike Bloomberg, who wants to be president, looked like he was already in the pokey in a failed debate performance. Bernie Sanders leads the pack. Can Joe Biden regain his footing? Oh, and while you weren't looking, Congress has been briefed that once again, Vlad Putin is doing everything he can to get his comrade Donald Trump reelected. And Donald Trump is doing everything he can to help Vlad. And that's just where we begin this week on the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, when I and my partner in politics, former White House correspondent Matthew Cooper, slice and dice all things politics. The podcast available at hallicasserjayne.com and on all your favorite apps. Here we go. Well, how nice to speak to you on a Thursday evening. How unusual for us.
Yes.
Yeah. So we get to spend an
It is
evening
unusual.
together, an early evening. Do you have your wine or your beer or whatever the hell it is?
I could use it, but I don't have it yet.
I could too.
I may start to get the shakes by the time this is over.
I should have thought about that before we started and got myself a glass of wine. Okay, Matt, listen to me. We waited because of Roger Stone. We wanted to wait to be able to talk about what the sentence was or whatever. But, you know, I watched that stupid debate last night. I say stupid because it really upset me, something fierce. So that's a nice sound. Is everything okay outside your window?
Yeah, it's urban life.
Yeah, I know.
I wish I had a private studio.
Yeah, well, we'll work on that. We're working on that. But what I was going to say, listen to that character.
Yeah, they really like their horns here in D.C.
I just, look, I think something happened last night that was so devastating in that debate, that I can't.
Well, you were hot for Bloomberg.
Well, that's
I want to find out if you still are.
Well, okay.
Well, I want to hear all about it.
We're going to get to that, but I want to just tell you, hang on to your hat when you hear what I have to say about that debate. But we start with Roger Stone.
Okay.
And we start with 40 months, 20,000 fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he has to do some
44 months.
Yeah, 44 months, something like that. $20,000 fine.
Yeah.
He has to do some community service time. He's on probation for quite some time afterwards. But
it's a real sentence.
It isn't what people wanted, though, and I think that's interesting.
Well, it isn't what some people want, but yeah.
But did you pay attention to Judge Amy Berman Jackson, how she absolutely went really for her, because she's a pretty measured lady. She really was upset about what had happened with the AG Barr, coming in on changing the sentence and the guidelines, and she really went into that. The new prosecutors also said that was wrong.
Yep.
Right?
No, I think it was, it was interesting. I mean, like Barr and Trump got what they wanted, but they still got chewed out.
Yeah, and but if you watched her these couple of years she's had him in her court, meaning Roger, she's always been nice to him when she should have thrown the book at him. When he did the thing with he was going to shoot her and he had the
Yeah, generally that's a problem. Yeah.
And she let him off the hook there. She has really treated him with kid gloves and anyway, I'm very upset. I think
you wanted to see a stiffer sentence.
I did want to see that's an interesting word with Roger Stone. I did. And I compare it to this. It's now, before I get into comparing it to, I will say this. I will say that Trump has been all over the map on whether he plans to pardon him. He can't pardon him yet, by the way, because first it has to go through whether there's going to be a retrial, and there's still a lot of motions.
They'll let it play out of it.
So they're going to, and then they'll pardon him. But it struck me as this, Matt. Manafort got 7.5 years. Michael Cohen, who sang, got 3 years. Trump, 0 years. And it looks like Roger's not going to the pokey either. Now, what's wrong with that picture?
Well, it's you're comparing a few different things. I mean, Stone may yet go to prison. There's no guarantees. I mean, he was sentenced, Trump may pardon him, but it's also possible he either serves a sentence or starts a sentence or whatever. So we don't know that about Stone. And Trump, look, he's not been arrested and sentenced to jail. That has not happened. And he was...
No, but it's interesting to me that...
impeached and acquitted.
So that Michael Cohen, who gave up the goods, got the same 3 years as Roger Stone, who did everything to stonewall Judge Amy Berman Jackson.
Well, that is true.
Okay.
That is true.
That is not a pretty picture for our judicial system. Thought that point needed to be made. Why wouldn't Trump pardon Roger? Roger knows everything. And the interesting thing about Roger is Roger does not have the kind of stamina for prison. That's putting it mildly. Do you know what I'm saying without saying it?
Yeah, although he'd love the attention. It'll probably be the best thing for him. Then he can write a prison memoir and stuff. Look, I don't know what he's going to do about is he going to pardon Manafort? Is he going to pardon Flynn? Is he going to pardon anyone else? I don't know. This guy after this week with the celebrity pardons, who knows?
Is that where we should go next? Should we go to the celebrity pardons before we move on to the debate?
Let's go. I know you're very happy about Bernie Kerik.
He needs Bernie Kerik out there doing his dirty work for him. That's the only reason that
yes.
Bernie Kerik is
Can you
no
believe
longer...
that guy was almost Homeland Secretary? Homeland Security Secretary?
God. Giuliani's boy. He's gonna save Giuliani now, or he's gonna go and do bad things to some people for Giuliani. They didn't want him in jail. They needed him, helping.
No, now he can be on Fox. Well, he'd already served his sentence. This was all post facto.
Well, fine, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Out of all of them.
It was an
Go ahead.
It was an all-star list.
It was an all-star list, which is
Blago. Blago was the big one.
Yeah. With the white hair.
Yeah, that's what prison will do to you.
He is such an interesting character and how he lied, and really of all of how egregious. I mean, he went after children's charities and held them up to get money, and I mean he was. But you know what? It was not because he saw him on Fox. It was because it was a thing again with Obama.
Yeah, Obama and I believe Pat Fitzgerald, who's was the U.S. Attorney in Chicago.
Yes. Yeah.
And a Comey ally.
Yeah. This guy is not okay.
I mean, he's overturned 3 of Fitzgerald's biggest cases: Blagojevich, Conrad Black, and
Milken?
Scooter Libby.
And who didn't? Oh, and Scooter Libby. Yes.
Yeah.
You know something about that.
Well, yeah, I do know something about that. And Milken. I hadn't thought about Milken in a while.
Milken's exonerated, if you will, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, look, I think we're going to see a lot more of this.
Isn't this an odd time to be doing these things? Don't they usually do it at the end of their terms?
Usually, but I don't think this guy's going to wait. I think they're just going to, every time he feels like it.
So I just wondered what brought all of this on. Because he's feeling right now...
maybe he knows he's going to do Stone, so they want to get a few out of the way first. I don't know.
I was thinking about that too, and I thought to myself, now, what's he up to here? If he wants to pardon Stone, he doesn't need to pardon any of the others. He could just pardon Stone. He's just it's a vindictive, crazy, what can I do to stir up the pot? He's getting sicker emotionally by the minute. Do not tell me he's not, because he is. Okay. All right. Because here she goes ranting and raving again. But a moment before we return to how wacky this president is, in my opinion. But before we do, I'm just looking at one of my notes. One thing he did say that really tells you how things are not okay mentally with him.
Yeah.
He is actually the Chief Law Enforcement Officer.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
L'état, c'est moi.
Oh, geez.
I am the state.
I am. Oh my God. I feel like it's like 1980 and I'm in back in Salvador. The debate. Interesting. Nice to see Harry Reid.
Yeah.
Loved his hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been reading his
a little Kangol-ish.
He's been on his deathbed now that for 2 years. So I thought he looked relatively terrific.
Yeah, it's good they got him out there.
Yeah, and he had a lot to say, and that was the best part of the night for Democrats because it was like crazy thereafter.
Yeah.
I'll let you start. I just throw it out.
Well, look, it was the first debate with Bloomberg, and, the big question was how he was going to do and how others would react to him, and he did pretty miserably. I thought Warren took a very good shot at him about the sex harassment stuff. It landed squarely, and he didn't really have good replies. I mean, coaching matters a lot in these debates. You really have to prep for them, and then you got the sense of somebody who hadn't really done that. And I think she did well by taking shots at him, and I think, so I think she kind of helped put a little more life back in her campaign. I think Bernie did fine. I think Buttigieg was wise to keep trying to mix it up with Bernie and take a shot. You want to be like the guy in the prison yard who, your first day of prison, you want to take a swing at the biggest guy in the prison yard to show that you're tough. Even if you get really the crap beat out of you, it's worth it. Because it shows you've got some spunk. Yeah, so Warren took her big, prison yard shot at Bloomy, and Bloomy kind of fell apart. And then Pete took some shots at Bernie, which didn't really land as well, but he showed a little gumption there. And I thought your man Biden did pretty well. Maybe his best debate in a way.
You didn't mention.
And Amy. I thought
Amy.
Yeah, I thought she had a bad night. I thought I think she needed to replicate that New Hampshire debate that really lifted her up so much. And I think I think Buttigieg got under her skin in a way that she wasn't able to respond well. I just don't think she really quite was able to fight back in an effective way. Unlike her very good New Hampshire performance. So I think it was a very tough night for her. But tell me what you thought, especially about Bloomberg, who I know you were kind of fond of.
Okay. So let me go down the thing. I find Elizabeth Warren insufferable. I absolutely find her painful to watch and to listen to. She's hysterical all the time. And she's right all the time. And I know people love her. I don't get it. I keep watching and going, okay, just show me something. I am not that far left, as you know. I don't see the whole world falling apart in the things that she thinks the whole world is falling apart on. And I don't think she's great. I don't think she's great at a delivery. I think there are a lot of women out there who were so desperate to get a woman, that they lose sight of which woman and when and how and why. I just find her insufferable, and I absolutely did not like what she did to Bloomberg for a lot of different reasons, but it reminded me of Kamala Harris, and I was hoping that half the world would agree with me, and that would be the end of her but there were people who were just going nuts and saying, "Are you kidding? Stop it. You're over the top on this." Nasty woman was on Twitter. That's who she is. So, and she can do all that she wants to do. I just don't see her getting there. I agree with you totally on Amy, but that I never thought Amy had it in her in the first place. So that wasn't any big shakes for me. You'll see where I'm going with all of this. Buttigieg was interesting. He and Amy going back and forth each other. That was, ouch.
Yeah.
And he was hoping to get above her and past her, so we knew why he did what he did. And, right. And that leaves us Bernie and Biden and my friend, Mike. So here's where we are. I thought, how in the world did his team let him go in there without having an answer? That was the obvious question. I mean, why in the world wouldn't he have had an answer? But on the whole thing, by the way, with the women with Mike, you don't know what really happened. Nobody knows what. This is like shades of Al Franken. There are a lot of assumptions. The guy's a rich guy. Women finger guys too, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get him for all he's worth. Here's an opportunity here. We don't really know what happened with that. And to assume, because women make accusations and that he signed an agreement with them to be quiet, maybe they wanted it quiet because there was something he had on them. I just think this runaway with the Me Too movement is too runaway. And it's dangerous. And if I were a guy, I'd be scared to death because woman now at this point can make any accusation she wants. And guess what? It's going to stick. We have to be careful here, folks. We have to be careful. But he didn't have a proper answer, and that was crazy. And she beat the heck out of him, and everybody beat the heck out of him. So he wasn't. However, I'm going to tell you about the second part of his debate. I think he was on the money. And when they got into policy with him, I thought he handled policy incredibly well. I mean, he knows his stuff on global warming and guns and what have you. And he's very believable when he gets into that mode. He's not the most personable guy in the world. He's just not. And unless he has comedy writers doing his Twitter feed, he's just going to be a bloody bore. So there's that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll get to my last.
I think his problems.
Go ahead.
I think his problems extended beyond Warren. I mean, the whole stop and frisk thing, he just had to. Well, yeah, but look, he was in a bad position.
Yeah, I agree.
He apologized very recently about it. Now he has to kind of sell the apology. And he didn't really he didn't emote. He didn't say, I was trying to save, black and brown lives from murderers and I lost track of, the fallout from this. Or he didn't really have a good explanation of his thinking or anything.
Yeah,
it was just I did it. I've apologized.
Yeah, he's very, He's is the word pedantic.
It wasn't the way he needed to go into the next round of
Let me ask you this.
So I think
you're good on this. The policy of stop and frisk really was Giuliani's policy that he inherited. People keep forgetting that. Now, there are those who say he took what Giuliani was doing and it was pretty bad and he made it even worse. But the fact of the matter is, can we just go back and say that it was Giuliani's policy?
My understanding is that, Bloomberg expanded it, and it grew a lot under him and then sort of shrank towards the end of his third term.
Can I be politically incorrect for a second? I'm going to be politically incorrect for a second.
I think I'm ready.
I'm going to say that there are problems in communities, black, brown, white, poor. There are problems. There are pockets of this all over the United States, not just in Manhattan, not just in the suburbs. It's everywhere in this country. And I think there's a problem, and I think we have to be careful here too, because how do you solve it? I recall that time, and that time people were getting shot. The murder rate was insane. It was like Chicago was until I think. Well,
we're talking about we're not talking about the 80s. We're talking about, the aughts.
Right.
But in any event, they de Blasio basically got rid of stop and frisk, and the crime rate has continued to go down.
I have a theory.
I'm not sure it was. Yeah, I'm not sure it was stop and frisk saved us from.
No. But the other side of you can say is that, but they didn't have to carry it all the way out. Is it possible that it put the fear of in some of these, areas?
No, but then it should have gone up when de Blasio announced we're not going to do.
No, I'm saying they're saying at that point it was like we made our point, and that if you do this, this is what's going to happen. There is that too. I don't know. I had a conversation on Twitter with, I forget who it was with, on this very subject, and they haven't done the studies to find out what exactly stopped the crime rate from, made it go down. Whether stop and frisk was a deterrent. Sometimes you only have to put the gun up in the air. You don't have to shoot. There's that. So, But back, that's getting off the subject. I guess the real deal was that Mike Bloomberg, is going to have to do a lot better
regardless of whatever the efficacy of the policy is, he's said it. It's now his position that it was a mistake. So if that's his position, he's got to kind of sell it better.
Yeah, he's got to sell it.
Doing a great job of it.
And can he survive what happened to him last night?
Yeah, sure. If only by dint of having the money to keep, outlasting everyone. I mean, it's like, the Red Army after Stalingrad, they've taken an incredible beating, but, they're still going to march to Berlin. I mean, he's got a lot of tanks, and I think he can come back from it, but, he's got to get better answers. And on this non-disclosure stuff, I agree. There's, we don't know what's in them. There's questions, but just politically, he's going to keep getting hammered on that. He has to either decide, is he going to release some of these women from him, or is he just going to slug it out? And he's going to slug it out. To see here.
Yeah, he's going to slug it out. He's not going to release anything. But I remember I said to you up front that there was something that happened during this thing that just my eyes are rolling, my heart is breaking, the hair on my back is going up for fear.
You don't have hair on your back,
well,
but I know what you mean.
My peach fuzz. But here's the deal.
Right.
Who was it? I think it was Buttigieg who said that Mike thinks money should be the root of all power. And then we have the line, did it come from Warren about money? To Bloomberg? That should you have earned so much money was the question. And he said, yes, and I worked hard for it. Matthew, when the Democratic Party starts asking, should you have earned so much money, we are in deep shit. Hear me.
Yeah. Well, you also need a better answer than I work hard because.
Well, he didn't. He said yes. I thought he answered it perfectly right. And what's wrong with that?
He didn't even explain how he was, like I was self-made. I was this guy. I had an idea.
Well, but he did say, and by the by, I also give my money back. And I have actually,
right.
The reason that the Democrats have the House is because I gave them the money to get it. I mean.
No, look, you don't want to be a billionaire in the Democratic Party right now.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting,
poor kid Pete isn't even allowed to go to the wine cave anymore.
The thing about it is this. The thing is, Mike Bloomberg is a self-made billionaire. This is a true American dream. Rags to riches, a poor kid who made good, a Jewish poor kid who made good. What is wrong with this wacky country? I am sorry, Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders. Okay. Let me make a point here too that I have not heard anybody say. Going into that debate, the two quote unquote sort of front runners are two Jews. Not a word said about it. It's like the biggest.
Every day.
You and I do, but it's the biggest kept secret because you show me where anybody is.
On the other hand, I think people know. I mean, it's not like Nina Smith.
I don't know.
I think they know.
I think they're afraid to put it out there that this is historical, that there are two Jewish men vying for the presidency of the United States, and oh my gosh.
Right. It's the Harmony Club versus Ratners.
It's fascinating, though. It's fascinating that it's a story that hasn't been written and that hasn't been made a whole lot about. So I just want to say that. But then you get into that money thing again. Anyway, Bernie, I don't get Bernie at all. Bernie gets away with murder. Bernie says, I'm not giving you I had a heart attack 6 weeks ago, but hell, what the hey, no big deal. I'm not nope, I'm not going to give you my.
This letter from my cardiologist will show that I have two stents, just like the mayor, that are working terrifically.
God. Okay, so you explain to me. I do not see.
I take Lipitor.
You don't need a drink. You're on a roll. Please explain.
My type 2 diabetes is under control.
I'm crying. If you could see me right now, tears are coming down my eyes. Oh my God.
Look, I mean, he's he's in a pretty good shape, you know. I mean, I think he's done
he's in
well
really
these
bad
days.
shape. He's a smart. He's
Well,
okay. Well,
I
don't
think he's done
understand.
pretty well these
Explain him
debates.
to me. Explain the love affair with Bernie Sanders. There is nothing that this man says that is in any way, shape, or form believable, presidential. He's Trump. He's a Jewish Trump.
He's, you know, I think his appeal. I mean, a lot of people think he's authentic. They think he's taken on the system. They think most Democrats for the last 30 years have been too soft, and that he's really taken on the muddied interests and correcting the growing inequality in the country. You know his appeal to a lot of people. You may not agree with it, but you know what it is. And the kids love him.
But kids don't vote.
Well, we're going to find out.
Do you think he's the nominee?
I really don't know who the nominee is.
Oh, I'm so glad. At least you go. I'm so glad you said that.
I mean, I feel less confident than at any time comparably in an election.
Of what?
Of who the nominee will be.
You were listening to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern at hallicasserjayne.com and is available wherever you listen to your podcasts. Find us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, on all your favorite apps. You'll find the podcast on your Alexa device, too. Just say, The Halli Casser-Jayne Show. Oh, and come play with me on Twitter at The Halli CJ Show. Well, I have to say, I thought Biden was terrific last night, and debate is not his thing, but he is a decent, moral family guy, a man of character. I'm not saying he's not a typical politician; he's all of those things, but we're getting old, I guess, because that's not what people want. They want screaming, ranting, raving Pocahontas. By the way, if you think that Trump will not just rewrite that whole, if she's in, if it's her, that Trump doesn't do exactly to her what he did the first time, the second time around, just ha.
Where all of them could be Trump. I just don't know where we're at. I mean, I think Bernie's in a pretty good place to start racking up some delegates on Super Tuesday. He's got a lot of appeal. He's really pulling out a lead in California. I think.
But you would expect that in California. I expect him to get California. That's no surprise to me. But I don't. You tell me about him running in a place like Pennsylvania or Wisconsin. I mean, they're going to look at him and roll their eyes and go, "Are you kidding? What? Huh?"
Well, let's see who's voting in those primaries. I mean,
those are primaries. I get that, but I'm in the general.
Bloomberg is spending so much.
Well, I'll tell you. There was just a poll today that there's only Biden, who I think should show a little bit of a surge after the other night, but maybe everybody's thrown their towel and just to the hell with him. But he's South Carolina. The poll was down to a 5-point differential, I think, at this point, and that's kind of like you're not going anywhere with that big boy. I think the Dems are on a suicide mission. That's what I think, and there's no way to stop it. I don't know.
Well, they certainly got away from the the safe bet would have been the nice Midwestern, Western governor, senator, like your guy from Montana. Well,
they're not ever going to do that. I mean, these are different times. I get that, but to have a hothead like Bernie and I call the Bernie Bros. They're a terrorist organization. They are absolute terrorist. You got to see what they do to people on Twitter. It's bizarre.
Oh yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
There's a lot of that, sure.
And he doesn't want to stop it. He doesn't think 99.9% are wonderful people. Well, we're not worried about the 99.9% because guess what? I'm sure 99.9% of MAGAs are wonderful people. This is the mess that we're in right now. You hear me? This is the mess that we're in.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle if Trump wins another 4 years. I don't know what I would do.
Swim to Cuba? I don't know.
It's very funny.
What? Halli, let's have a little Florida check. You're right there in the big swing state.
Yeah.
Republicans, Democrats. Mm-hmm. You got a feel for the ground, right? You're on the Space Coast?
No.
Treasure Coast?
No.
What do you want?
Treasure.
Treasure?
Mm-hmm.
You're on the Treasure Coast. You're right in the heart of Florida, swing county, swing state. What's the mood down there?
I have to say, Trump is not as liked here as one would think he is. That's what's going on.
Interesting.
Here. That's what's going here, and all the polls are showing that he's not.
Yeah, they don't.
They're not happy with him down here. And the thing about Florida is, the further north, the further south you get. It's interesting because now it's all, even where I live is so getting built up in a hurry. It wasn't. And so all the New Yorkers and all the Bostonians and all the, up north people are actually moving in now into, Martin County and Palm Beach County. I'm like between Palm Beach and Vero at this point. I keep moving south. But, it's interesting to me that that's what you get. People are not thrilled with him down here. And so he's gonna have a little bit of a run, and the courts have done, they knew it was gonna be so tight. They needed that felon not to be able to vote. And, it was overturned again yesterday. I think it was yesterday, the day before, where they're saying they do not have to pay in order to vote. That's a poll tax.
That's good.
So
the,
the courts are even kind of, getting interesting.
But the governor is still pretty popular, right?
Governor seems popular. This thing with what happened with his pictures of him with Les Parnas and all of that's he's kind of keeping a low profile a little bit lately.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
and
that's not a dead story yet. You know that, right? Anyway, what else were you going to ask me?
Interesting.
Anything else?
And who's your congressman down there?
Well, Posey. Who is a really nice man, by the way. Very nice man. Very,
that Val Demings. What do you think of that Val Demings?
I think she's brilliant.
She seems good.
Brilliant.
Good vice president, right?
I think so. I think she's she's a sharp cookie, that one. I like her a lot. But Posey, who is a Republican, is a very fair Republican.
He won't last.
Well, he's been around forever. He's held the seat for like 100 years, so he's not going anywhere anytime fast. So Florida, keep your eye on Florida, but then you've got a weird thing that happened in Florida because one of the pardons was of this woman in Miami who did the Medicare fraud, and nobody could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, Senator Scott, two-time governor down here, who is now looking to become the next President of the United States, I think that had something to do with him. I haven't had a chance to go and look into all of that, but that's a story that one wants to see. So anyway, the caucuses, we're all talking about the caucuses are what, Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next debate is next week, and I hope to hell that they don't do this slugfest and start talking about who they need to beat. Remember Donald Trump? This would be like a pretty damn good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, it's the moderators who are doing crazy things. Now, Biden, can Biden recover? Let's take a vote. Or is Biden done?
Don't know.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't know. I mean, I think if he, he's kind of running out of gas right now. He needs some money. He's really got to win the Super Tuesday. I mean, not Super Tuesday, but South Carolina. And he's got to really finish second or so. He has to look good coming out of Nevada, and he's got to win the other one. Then if he does that, I think he can.
He's got a life support. But
and Bloomberg keeps faltering. But, a lot of things have to happen for him to get back in this. I mean, the problem is he never mastered the art of the small donor fundraising.
Yeah, right.
And so, Bernie can keep filling up the tank.
Yeah.
All these people have only given $2. They haven't hit this yet and never will.
Right.
But with Biden, he went to the big money pretty fast. And he's got to do better at that small donor base. And that doesn't happen unless you're either sort of a heroic figure in the eyes of your supporters or you just got the mojo to make it happen, and he's not there at the moment.
So look, at the bank is a man by the name of Mike Bloomberg. So if Mike Bloomberg sees that he can't pull it off,
Right.
And he is not going to go with a Bernie Sanders because he read the Warning Act today. If we don't do something fast and consolidate and, Amy, get the hell out of the race and what's her name, and Pete get out of the race. And he's right, so that we can consolidate this vote. The natural person for him to go to would be Biden, right? Because he's not going to.
Well, sure.
Okay.
I'm sure if Biden's, I'm sure he'll fund the Democrat.
The moderate Democrat.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to spend his money to help Bernie Sanders get elected. Exactly.
So I think that that's a story that's not being told a lot either, and I think that's a very interesting story, and I think that people ought to be thinking about that. And I had this very strange idea. You want to do something, different. Listen to what I'm going to say. This is going to make you crazy, and I don't know if this could work. Yeah, the party, put a woman on, put a person of color on, do whatever. But what about a Jew in Biden? A Bloomberg Biden?
Bloomberg Biden? Well, I don't know if Biden would go for another. I don't even know.
No, Biden would have to be the top of the ticket.
Oh, the top.
Biden would have to be the top of the ticket because there's no way he's not going to be the top of the ticket.
I think because of age alone.
Well, why Bernie?
78-year-olds. Yeah, but Bernie's not going to pick a 78-year-old Veep.
Who's he going to pick?
I think, I'm sure he'll find one of the, members of Congress who support him, or, he'll find someone. Congresswoman from Washington State, whose name escapes me at the moment, Indian American, South Asian. I don't know. He's got people he can pick.
I'm a never Trumper, but I'm a never Bernie too.
Well, if it's Trump v. Bernie,
I don't know.
For very interesting.
I don't know what oh my God, I don't know what I would do. Okay. So, we're up in the air on the Biden Bloomberg. We're up in the air on Biden. There's no answer to any of these questions. And so we go to another story that I think is interesting. Not getting a whole lot of play, and I think it should. What's the story with Julian Assange? And his attorney goes in and says, guess what? Trump offered me a pardon.
Yeah.
Did you pay attention to that?
I haven't really paid attention to that. Sorry. Yeah, don't have a lot for you on that one.
I lost your voice a little bit. Did you go somewhere?
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Hello. Rebecca, the story is basically that Julian Assange attorney under the, officer of the court said that if he did not reveal it was Russia, that, he could get a pardon. And it turns out they said it was that it came through Dana Rohrabacher, who has been a pro-Russian crazy congressman who's no longer in Congress, right? And today or yesterday he did agree. He said, "Yes, I did say that." He said, however, it wasn't sanctioned by Trump. But there's a story there.
Yeah, we don't really know what that is, but it's there's look. I mean, this Assange thing from the beginning with the Roger Stone, Trump doing his "I love WikiLeaks."
Yeah,
I love WikiLeaks.
I love WikiLeaks, and it's a mess. So that's keep your eye on that one, folks, because that's going to get hot. By the same token, two stories that kind of merge. We've got Attorney General Barr, who had quite a week this past week. First, the prosecutors walk out of the department, and then 2,000 prosecutors. I don't know what you're doing, but stop doing it because it's making me noise in my ear.
Sorry. Okay, I'm right here.
2,000 prosecutors go sign a thing. Barr needs to resign. And then federal judges also were called a meeting to discuss Barr, and at the last second put it on hold, postponed the emergency meeting on Barr's political interference. Barr goes out and tells Trump, you keep tweeting, I might have to leave. Nobody believed a word he said. All of this crazy stuff. What is going on, Matt? What?
Yeah.
What? It's crazy.
Well, look, I mean, Barr is, gone where no AG has gone before.
Gone with no
And
AG. Oh my gosh. And it's scary.
But of course, then Barr did take the shot at Trump this week. Or was that last week?
No, that was this weekend, but I didn't take a shot at him. It was to cover his own butt, to make him look like he was taking a shot at Trump, and Trump kept on tweeting, and he didn't resign. So who was he kidding? Come on.
Right.
It's all theater.
I think so. But then there were reports that he's really upset and he might resign. So,
well, you know what? I have a friend who used to say to me, my girlfriend was going through a divorce, and she kept saying, "I'm going to leave this guy. I'm going to leave him. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm finished." For 20 years, she was saying, "I'm done." And her therapist said to her, "When you've gone, then you're done."
Right.
Hello.
Well, there is that.
There is that. So
there is that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of hooey going on. And the Dems? What of those Democrats? What about Adam Schiff? What about Jerry Nadler? Well, as soon as you heard that Assange story, I'd be picking up my phone and saying, "Get these people down here." You know, how come they have done nothing to get, and we're going to talk about him in a second, John Bolton in? What, subpoena is like, what? It's too expensive to issue a subpoena? So like,
yeah.
Well, they're like in hiding, the Democrats. They're in hiding. They're like little sniveling idiots. They're in the corner licking their wounds from impeachment. And this crap is going on around them. If ever there was a time for them to attempt oversight, not now? Huh?
But how do you really feel? Don't hold back. Let me know.
I'm not wrong, am I?
I don't think so. No, I mean, why not? They ought to go all over it. They ought to. But interesting story out of this, out of the committee tonight, right?
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, well, apparently the House Intelligence Committee got a briefing from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence last week, in which they heard that Russia is involved right now in the 2020 election, trying to help win it for Trump. And
big surprise.
Someone in the end, and nothing we couldn't have guessed, but someone in the committee told Trump about this.
It was the then DNI guy, whatever his name is.
Yeah, it was the DNI.
Joseph McGuire.
Aide. Yeah.
It was Joseph McGuire.
But it was McGuire's aide, Pierce, who did the briefing.
So Trump goes into and berates the hell out of Joseph McGuire. Yeah,
and Trump gets it wrong and thinks that they just, like, McGuire leaked it to Schiff. Well, he didn't leak anything to Schiff. He addressed the whole committee. I mean, his aide addressed the whole committee. And in any event, Trump goes bananas, and that seems to be why Trump, got rid of McGuire this week and is going to put in, his buddy is currently the ambassador to Germany.
Grinnell, who is a nut job.
Grinnell currently is the nation's who is about to become the nation's top intelligence officer.
And has no training in intelligence. Zero.
No training in it.
None.
He is our first openly gay cabinet member.
Oh, how do I say that because it's irrelevant to the story.
Of course, it's irrelevant.
But
just a little note.
Just a little note. But I'm just surprised if you're going to say something about him being gay. It's just surprised that the Republican Party they allow a gay person. I mean, oh my God. But this is like crazy stuff because Mitch McConnell. I know the House passed some legislation or tried to pass legislation to, trying to protect the upcoming election from the Russian interference, and that got nowhere, or that got where it got, and they sent a numerous
Moscow
bills.
Mitch.
And Moscow Mitch is just like tossing them because he gets a lot of his bucks, and his wife does, I guess, from Russia. Trump was worried that the Dems would make hay out of this. Well, excuse me? What does Trump know about this interference? What's he trying to do to stop it? Nothing. And why aren't they back starting new impeachment hearings?
Well, I thought we might
bad
get to
stuff. That. You thought we might. And your thought?
So if you were Nancy Pelosi, you would just start it up again.
I would. I absolutely would.
New charges or just take a run at the same ones?
I think that I think that you probably could change the add to the charges. How's that? Change the charges.
I guess.
Add to the charges.
Yeah.
This is not acceptable on any level, and I find, and I don't know, because you know I've had a couple of crazy busy days with a lot of different things. Where are the Republicans? I mean, the only thing I've heard from Lindsey Graham is him going bonkers because they want to pull money out of Africa. And Miss Lindsay's kicking up her high heels. What's the story here? How is this acceptable to Republicans on any level?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've, I don't know, but clearly, those House Republicans on Intel, they're super Trump defenders, and they hear anything that they think the boss doesn't like, they're going to run screaming to him.
Has anything happened the last week with all these stories that we're talking about here that you think could ask some of these Republicans who voted not to, convict to pause and think, yikes, this guy really is out of control. This is what's going on here. He's trying to cover up Russian influence and he's working with Putin to get himself elected. Forget Ukraine. I mean, is there anything that any of this has changed on any level?
I don't think it will have changed any minds.
So then the other side of, and on the other side of that is this. So here we are, the Democrats trying to get, control again and, get rid of this president and maybe even get the Senate. By the way, that's a conversation I wanted to have with you, which is, boy, they're sure not working real hard to get that should get the Senate. Even if you can't get the White House, for God's sakes, get the Senate. I mean, it's not that big. They're not fighting very hard for it. They're not fighting very hard for it. But yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I think that, what's his name? Who's the head of the DNC now?
Tom Perez.
He's got to go. He gives great speech before a debate, and that's all he's good at because he hasn't done anything else at this point. He's just, he's making me nervous. He's just making me nervous.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with you on that.
Yeah. So there is that too. John Bolton. Let's talk John Bolton for a minute because John Bolton, boy, he's a pain. Boy, he's arrogant. Boy, he's full of himself. Boy, he's money hungry.
But except for that. Well, have you pre-ordered the book? Honey,
I wouldn't give that guy 5 pennies for that book. I won't. He said that the hearings were grossly partisan, and that even if he had testified, it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the impeachment trial. By the same token, he says, chapter 44, page whatever it was. Wait till you see.
Yeah.
This is not a good man. This is not a good man. This is no patriot. No, this is not a good guy.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, I am though curious to see what he will say, which I guess is the point of all this.
What's he going to say?
He's going to say Trump kept telling him not to do the Ukraine money, and he knew it was in our national defense.
Yeah.
And he tried to do it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It doesn't even mean anything at this point.
No, at this point, not so much.
That's what's so funny about it. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a little after the fact.
Yeah, it's more than a little. It's after the fact, period. End of conversation.
He seems like a lovely guy.
I don't think Republicans like him either.
He's been around so long. He was a Spiro Agnew intern.
He was?
Kind of a fun fact. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Really?
Yeah, well.
At least 72. And he started in politics as a young man, and
I don't know. He's a hawk of all hawks. I can be pretty hawkish on some things, but I mean, he really tops it. Well, speaking of hawks, something weird happened in Israel today. Did you see it? Benny Gantz has got problems now with them looking into him for shady deals on his business?
Didn't see that.
Yeah.
Where are they at with the elections?
Well,
Are they
a
almost
couple of
done?
days away, March 5th, I think, or something like that.
Is this the last one, or is we could have another one?
Oh, I don't know. This is because what happened with Gantz today. It's going to shake this thing up again. I mean, the trial for Netanyahu is supposed to begin the day after the election.
That's
yeah, I mean, the world's gone mad. Can we just say that? The world has gone mad.
We say it every week.
Yeah. Do I say it every week?
At least.
I'm getting so depressed from all this. I don't know. Listen, here's the bottom line.
Can we end with coronavirus or something cheerful like that?
I have that. That's my last note. Coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so some of the people who were on that ship, Americans, came down with the virus today. Oh boy. It's like the Ship of Fools.
Well, look.
It's going to make a great movie.
Yeah, terrible movie. Worst Love Boat episode ever.
Awful. Did you see there was a couple who was taken off the ship, who had, the quarantine ship in Japan and had American couple. They brought him here to, what's the one in Texas? Lackland Air Force Base, into this old building, and that became their whatever. But what they didn't tell them is they all stayed apart from each other the whole time they were on the ship, and then they put them all in the same plane.
Oops. Not good.
Hello. And some of those people.
I'm no public health official, but that seemed like a bad idea.
I'm telling you. All right. So where are we? Where do we leave this week? What? I mean, the Dems are going to blow it. Are the Dems going to blow it? And it's Trump 4 more years. His poll numbers, by the way, he's at 49%. He's at 49%.
I think we want to see if Joe Biden still has a pulse going into South Carolina.
Oh, what an interesting way to put it.
We want to see. Well,
they changed his makeup last night. Would you like to hear my observation? They're giving him eyebrows right now. So he stopped.
You think that helped?
Yes, it did help. He doesn't have white eyebrows. He's
still pretty pale. I feel like they could
give him some cheek color.
Yeah, a little
rouge.
He's a little wan.
He needs a little rouge. He doesn't have to
look like Howdy Doody.
He's still a good-looking man, though. He's a good-looking guy. He's got a smile that'll kill.
Yeah.
But you're right. He needs rouge. I could do his makeup better than they do, but he was starting to look like, what was the one that the Irish, the big body Irish guy from the 70s and 80s in Congress, Chris Matthews. Yeah, Tip.
Chris Matthews.
Chris worked for Tip O'Neill, and he always had those big bushy Irish white eyebrows, and that's how Biden was starting to look, and he's looking a little bit better. But yeah, no, I end on, I don't know, sweetie. This thing with Bernie Sanders, this is bad.
What do you mean, this thing? You mean that
if he gets the nomination, this is bad. This is George McGovern. This is bad. This country will never put up with this. No way. Including some Democrats. That's it. That's my last word. But what will happen next? Who knows? You know what I didn't hear this week?
Could be.
Thank you.
Could be.
I feel better
Could
now.
Be. All right. See you next time.
No. Do you have anything that you want to make a prediction? Nothing? Anything?
Oh, prediction.
You got a prediction? You got a story?
Prediction. I think Bernie's gonna win in Nevada, despite the cool reception by the powerful Culinary Workers Union, and I think he's going to win by a fair amount.
I do too.
Yeah.
Okay. Who comes in second? Because if it's not Biden, he's done.
Yeah, I'm going to say Biden.
Okay. Hey, George.
But I don't say that with great confidence. Hey, all right. Good night, Gracie.
See ya. Bye.
All right. Talk to you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, a production of Resec, LLC. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, and is available at hallicasserjayne.com and on all your favorite apps. Be sure to visit us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and follow me on Twitter at The Halli CJ Show. Until next time, this is Halli Casser-Jayne.